Well, it's interesting that there are people on the inner circle who would do something like this because they believe that they are righteous and they can do anything, breaking hundreds of years of tradition and values. Very much the same kind of thinking that the jihadists have. But in a way, I would certainly be very happy to see such an important decision about life in the hands of the voters and the people who represent them rather than a bunch of unelected judges. That's where the decision making should be for something that's this important. And, this pattern of trying to remove the people from the argument is something that we've seen a lot of, in social media, with trying to cancel people, with trying to keep people shielded from certain information. This is a pattern that we're seeing, and we must resist it very strongly.
As you can imagine, there's been a lot of reaction on social media, but also on different media programs as well. I want to play you, this is a soundbite from Whoopi Goldberg on The View. Here was her reaction to this draft leak.
This is my body. And nobody, you got people telling me I got to wear a mask or don't wear a mask or do this. Everybody wants to tell me what to do, but you won't let me make my decision about my body. You are not the person to make that decision.
What's your response to that?
My response to that is she should be very glad to have a situation where the decisions about that are placed back in the hands of the people and their representatives, and not in a bunch of people who are not responsible to the populace, who are unelected. So, and she's making an opposite argument of what she actually wants.
And again, we're waiting for the final decision to come out, perhaps later next month. We would have an official ruling here. But politicians already weighing in. I want to show you this tweet. This is from Senator Bernie Sanders saying Congress must pass legislation that codifies Roe v. Wade as the law of the land in this country now. If there aren't 60 votes in the Senate to do it, and there are not, we must end the filibuster to pass it with 50 votes. Well, Senator Marco Rubio is responding to that tweet saying, translation, let's change the rules of the Senate to pass a federal law legalizing the killing of unborn children right up to the day of delivery. What's your reaction to the politicians' responses to this draft?
Well, I don't understand how anybody, quite frankly, who understands what abortion is can go along with it. If you've ever seen an abortion, on the screen you can see the baby, the head, the face, the eyes, the fingers, the toes, the heart's beating, it's moving around. You introduce the tube. Frequently, the baby tries to move away from the tube before it rips off an arm, rips off a leg. You see blood going down the tube. I mean, how can decent human beings look at something like that and say it's okay? And there are others who say right up until the time that they're born, maybe even after they're born, partial birth abortion, you take a baby, you stick a sharp instrument in at the base of the skull, you sever the brainstem. I mean, this is just unconscionable. And at least people need to know what the heck is going on so that they can weigh in on it. And, Marco Rubio is exactly right in what he said there.
There's also been calls for court packing as well. Not happy with the number on the court. Ilhan Omar, Congresswoman from Minnesota, saying overturning Roe would put the lives of women across the country at risk. It would fly in the face of decades of precedent and the overwhelming majority of public opinion, and they will not stop there, expand the court. Also weighing in, Senator Jackie Rosen, if reports of the Supreme Court moving to overturn Roe v. Wade are true, it would be devastating for women all across the country. These unprecedented and dangerous attacks on reproductive rights can't go unanswered. It's time to codify Roe into law. Let me just ask you, of course, with news of the primary elections coming in overnight, as we look toward the midterms, how do you think the issue of Roe v. Wade, the possible overturning of Roe v. Wade, will play into voters as they head to the polls?
I think it will have a giant impact on both sides. It will energize the electorate on both sides. And we'll have a vigorous debate. And I hope that debate will help people to actually see what the issues are. and understand that because a woman is pregnant and has another human life within her, doesn't mean that you need to kill that baby. There are multiple alternatives available. There are many clinics around the country who will help that mother. And if she doesn't want that mother, we'll have that baby adopted by somebody who does want that baby. But, it's only dictators who come in and say, I don't like the way this is happening. I'm going to change the rules. And that's what we see going on right now. We have a wonderful system. The way our Constitution was put together was designed to give the people a tool to be able to control the government, because governments grow, they infiltrate, and they dominate. That's what they normally do. That's what they naturally do. America was a great experiment to see if we could have a country that was run on the will of the people. And we cannot sit by and let legislators try to change the rules so that the people are no longer in charge.
Really appreciate you weighing in on the matter here. News of the day. Dr. Ben Carson, thanks so much for joining National Report.
A pleasure.